Welcome to those of you that just joined. I'm going to give everybody another 30 seconds here just for those last minute stragglers to jump on. But thanks for joining us, and we will begin just a moment from now. So feel free to grab a coffee, quick wash and break, get settled, and we're happy to have you here with us tonight. Okay, I think a lot of people have joined, that's for sure. We had quite the registration list for this evening, which is great. So lots of college, university, and mature transfer students. Officially welcome to everybody, and thanks for joining us. I know it's been a super busy year, a tough year, obviously, for everybody, and an even trickier year for some of our post-secondary students and returning learners. But we're going to get through it here. It's definitely still an exciting time to look at post-secondary for the fall or for the summertime if you're joining us there. And to start your adventure with us here at Lakehead University. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your busy evening. We're going to introduce the panel here in a second, but just to give you a couple of housekeeping items just to start things off. Obviously, we're all working remotely here this evening. We usually like to host these types of events in person, and hopefully we'll be able to do that in a not too distant future, but we're all working from home here this evening. So if we do run into any tech issues, any internet connection issues, maybe my daughter's crying in the background, there's dogs barking, who knows, it's the times we're living in nowadays. Just bear with us, and we'll get the webinar continued in just a moment, but thanks for your patience with the technical difficulties. This webinar will be recorded, just so everybody knows, so we can share it with those registrants that weren't able to attend this evening, and the public who wasn't able to attend the event as well. In terms of how the evening is going to go, we're going to do a full presentation covering a wide range of topics, which I'll touch on here in a second. But we do want to make this as interactive as possible. So I see some of you have already typed in the chat box. So thanks for that and welcome. But if you do have questions throughout the presentation this evening, feel free to use the Q&A function through Zoom. And that will allow our Lakehead admission staff here to answer your questions as we go through our session. So we are going to do a full Q&A session at the end of the presentation, which will be about a half hour to 40 minutes from now. But we want to take questions as we go through the presentation as well. So please use the Q&A. It just allows us to moderate the questions a little easier. You can use the chat to interact with our staff as well, but the Q&A would be great, and we'd be happy to answer as many questions as we can get to here this evening. Just last notes, we do have a wide range of students from colleges, universities, some mature learners as well. We're not going to be covering a ton of program-specific information tonight. This information or this webinar is for students that have already applied to Lakehead University from a college, a university, or as a mature learner. So a lot of you have already gone through the admissions process and the transfer credit process. We will touch on it a little bit. But we want to try and avoid a lot of very specific admissions related questions. After this evening, you can always book a one-on-one appointment with myself or Rebecca in our recruitment admissions office. And we can always do a one-on-one meeting to go over your application if you have admissions related questions. But aside from that, ask away, no bad questions. And again, thanks for joining us. So my name's Aaron. For those of you I haven't met, and I know I've spoken to quite a few of you that registered here this evening, so thanks for joining again. I work in our undergraduate recruitment office, and I'm our college and university transfer manager. So I basically assist students through the application process, whether they're coming from a Canadian college, a university, or students that have been out of high school and are coming as a mature learner. So if you do have questions after this evening, feel free to email me directly. You can catch me at transfer.recruit@lakeheadu.ca, and I'll get Jess to drop the link in the chat so you can book an appointment through our online booking system as well. So if you do have questions, you want to book a meeting with me, I'd be happy to answer questions after this evening. And now I'll turn it over to one of my colleagues, Rebecca, just to give her a little introduction as well.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Rebecca. I am an undergraduate recruitment advisor. I work with Aaron. I assist with some university, college, and mature learners, but Aaron is certainly the expert. Thank you for joining us today. I look forward to answering your questions in the Q&A, and let's have some fun.
Thanks, Rebecca. And we also have two other colleagues here. We've got my colleague Tori White, and we also have Jess, who are both from our Lakehead Aurelia campus, and they'll be answering questions in the chat and the Q&A as well. So like I said, feel free to drop those questions in the Q&A as we go through, and we'll get to as many as we can with a formal Q&A at the end. So in terms of agenda, what are we going to cover tonight? Obviously, why choose Lakehead? So why would Lakehead maybe be the right decision or the right fit for you? And we hope that it is. We're definitely going to cover a lot around next steps for applicants. So we're going to cover how to accept your offer of admissions. We're going to talk a little bit about your transfer credit assessment, applying for financial aid, which is a big one as well. We're going to talk a little bit about residence. The big one is obviously course registration, which is what we get a lot of questions about going forward. So we'll get into a little bit around course reg and your programs. We'll talk a little bit about student success and just some of the supports that are available for you guys as transfer students. And then, like I said, we'll do a formal Q&A at the end. So it's pretty detailed PowerPoint. There's lots in here. Just bear with me. I want to make sure that I get all the questions answered as I go through. But like I said, we'll take questions throughout the evening. So why choose Lakehead? For those of you that are maybe still getting a little bit familiar with Lakehead, or you know, you're not as familiar with us as an institution, or you're not a local student, we're a small to mid-sized university in Ontario. We do have 3 different campus locations that you can study. This past year, we were ranked in the top 10 for primarily undergraduate universities by Maclean's magazine, which we're happy about. And a really big focus at Lakehead is our undergraduate research opportunities. This past year, we were ranked number 2 for undergraduate research in all of Canada by Research InfoSource. And the previous 5 years, we were actually ranked number 1. So it's a really big focus here at Lakehead. If you're not as familiar with research opportunities, just to kind of give you a perspective on that, obviously, when you go to university, your teachers are there to teach, your professors are there to instruct, whether they're in your lectures or labs. But outside of the classroom, a lot of them are actually working on their own research or large-scale research projects and proposals. And there's lots of opportunities for undergraduate students at Lakehead, whether you're in second year, third year, fourth year of a degree program, to assist those profs and get involved with their research at the undergraduate level. So there's lots of good opportunities for you to get some hands-on experience outside the classroom. And really that'll help you get set up for success and, you know, add to your resume, build that experience. So when you finish your degree, you can get out into the workforce and really hit the ground running. So there's some great opportunities for that. We can, you know, touch on some of the research opportunities later on, but it's definitely a big focus with us here at Lakehead. We have over 8,500 students studying at Lakehead across all of our campuses from 80 different countries. So we are a diverse university here at Lakehead, and we've got some really unique, one-of-a-kind degree programs as well. Whether you're studying in our Honors Bachelor of Outdoor Recreation program, which I saw some students are interested in. Our forestry program is one of our oldest programs at Lakehead. That's definitely a program that we specialize in, obviously being so close to our natural environment. Programs like even criminology is a popular one. We have a 3-year compressed nursing program, which some of you have applied to. So we've got some really unique programs to give you some great opportunities. The big thing at Lakehead is the small classroom environment. A lot of schools like to talk about that. We all kind of have smaller to, you know, mid-sized classes in some perspective, but it's a big focus at Lakehead. 90% of our classes have fewer than 60 students. And since a lot of you are transferring into upper years of a program, maybe second year, third year of a degree program, classes have already shrunk pretty drastically. So it's not uncommon to have a classroom of maybe 60 students even entering into that first semester of your degree program. So a lot of one-on-one with your profs, you get to know them on a personal level, kind of a one-on-one basis. And that kind of leads to some of those hands-on opportunities outside of the classroom as well, which is great. Now, obviously, if you're looking at continuing your education, getting a career and starting things in the job market is the big focus. And our Lakehead graduates are doing lots of great things. Our employment rate at Lakehead across all of our programs is 96.7% within the first 2 years of graduation. And that's above the provincial average for Ontario universities. So it just really speaks to kind of the hands-on programming we offer at Lakehead to kind of set you up. So like I said, you do hit the ground running in whatever career that you get into. All of our programs at Lakehead have some sort of experiential learning component, whether that's a co-op placement as part of your program. For those programs that don't have co-op, you may have an internship or field school or placement or practicum if you're in a program like social work or nursing as an example. So again, you're really getting that experience to kind of earn while you learn and be set up for success in graduation. Just in terms of our locations, I'm not going to get into too much detail here. I'll maybe get Jess to drop a few links from our website in the chat, just so you guys can maybe do our virtual tour after this evening. But we do have 3 campus locations, as I mentioned. A lot of you have applied to our main campus up in Thunder Bay in northwestern Ontario. We do have our second campus in Orillia, which is right in the heart of central Ontario and Cottage Country, just an hour and a half north of Toronto. And then we do have 4 partnership programs with Georgian College. Those are a little bit unique. We don't have a lot of college transfer students into those programs, but I know we do have some mature learners that have applied to our Lakehead Georgian partnership programs as well. So with the Georgian College Barrie campus, obviously Barrie is right down the road from Orillia. It's only about 20 minutes to a half-hour drive apart, and you're only an hour north of Toronto. So whether you're studying at any of the 3 campus locations, very similar, unique learning environments. It's pretty rare that you can take a walk down the road or a 5-minute drive and end up at the beach or down at the lake on Lake Simcoe or Lake Superior, Lake Couchiching, hit the trails, hit some of the provincial parks that are close to us. It's a really unique learning environment. So for those of you that are maybe coming from a larger city or kind of that urban environment in southwestern Ontario, it's definitely more of a relaxed learning environment and relaxed campus environment, which I really, really love. I grew up pretty close to London, so I'm from southwestern Ontario, and for me it was about an hour and a half drive to get to the closest lake or beach. So I didn't have access to kind of that cottage country vibe you get at either of the campuses we offer at Lakehead. So definitely an interesting and kind of fun environment if you're outdoorsy or you're just looking for something a little bit different. In terms of how to get info, if you haven't seen this already, we do have a really good transfer guide available on our website. It's available for download. We can mail you a physical copy as well if you need to. But literally all the information that you guys would need as a mature or transfer student is in this transfer guide. So take a peek if you have some questions about your pathway, admissions, applying, financial aid. A lot of the stuff I'm going to cover this evening is available in the transfer guide. And it's a really good resource going forward if you're wondering about all things Lakehead. So I'll get the guys in the background here to drop that link in the chat to the transfer view book and take a peek if you do have questions after this evening. So in terms of kind of next steps and things to look for, where are we? So where are we in the application process? Most of you have probably already applied. And if you've applied, you've likely applied through UAC or the Ontario University's Application Center. The web link or the website is up on the screen there. You guys would have used the 105 application. Now, kind of the next step after the application process is to start submitting your documents, which I'll get to in a second. And I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about submitting documents and transcripts. I'm going to touch on that here in a second, but that's definitely a big piece of the application process. Step 3 is a big one. So after you've actually applied through the UAC website, all of you would have received an email from Lakehead giving you access to our website, which is called your My Info portal. Okay, so if you visit lakeheadu.ca, you click on My Info, you guys can sign in using the username and temporary password that you would have received after you've applied. If you haven't used My Info yet, definitely sign in and get used to it because there's lots of things you'll need to do within My Info. For those of you that have already accessed it, that's great, but make sure you keep checking your My Info account because that's where you'll see information on offers of admissions, your application status. You can check your transfer credit assessment. You can upload documents as well. And basically everything that you guys will do as a student, including registering for courses, is done through My Info. Okay, so it's a really good website to get familiar with the next couple of weeks because a lot of you will be needing to access it pretty soon. The big one for a lot of you that have come from maybe a college or university across Canada would be obviously the transfer credit step. So if you've applied through UAC, you would have requested to have your transcript sent to us electronically. Okay, so typically for a lot of applicants, there isn't an additional step. You don't have to mail us a physical copy of your transcript. You don't have to, go to the registrar's office and ask for a copy. Your transcripts should be sent through UAC because that's where you would have requested to have them delivered. Okay, now there is some exception to that, which I'll get to in a second, but that's really the initial start of the transfer credit process. The other step after your transcript would be to upload any additional documents that are required. So if you log into your My Info account, you can check your outstanding documents. Okay, so you'll actually be notified if we need additional documents outside of your transcript to give you an offer of admissions, but also for transfer credit assessment. Okay, so if you're wondering why you haven't received an offer of admissions yet, or what the next steps are, where is my application in the cycle, check your My Info, make sure you don't have any outstanding documents, because that'll maybe hold up the process. Once we have your transcript, as well as any additional documents, like a course syllabus, for example, then our admissions department can review that for transfer credit assessment. Okay, and there's a lot of different factors that go into giving transfer credit to students, and it's always case by case. So this is a kind of a tricky question I get from students. I get a lot of calls and emails saying, here's my transcript, how many transfer credits can I get coming into this program? And it's not as simple as a process in some cases, because we do need to review every course by course. We need to look at your grades. We need to look at the previous coursework that you had in those courses. And then we also obviously look into the program that you're applying to at Lakehead. So there's a few different factors that go into actually awarding transfer credits. And I'll let Jess maybe post the link in the chat, just in terms of transfer credit requirements. And Rebecca, if you want to drop that in as well, just to give some clarity on that. After your transfer credit assessment is awarded, so you'll see your transfer credit assessment in your My Info account. It'll show you all the transfer credits that you're receiving for your specific program, which is great. You'll receive an offer of admissions from our admissions department. You can review your offer of admissions through My Info. And the next step, if you're ready, would be to accept your offer of admissions. And we'll talk about that here in a second. If you have questions about any of this, the really good place to check is our Student Central webpage, which is up on the screen. Student Central is our one-stop shop for students. They cover advising from the day you register to the day you graduate from Lakehead University. And all admissions are done through the Student Central office. Okay, so it's a really good resource if you are looking for information about anything that I've covered thus far in this session. So how do I upload documents? So if you are required to, upload additional documents, like I said, your transcripts will be sent through UAC, and that's how we always recommend students submit transcripts. But in the pandemic times, and there's obviously different cases, in some cases students may not be able to access that transcript. There are alternate methods. So regarding final official transcript requests, UAC is the best, but you can submit them to our admissions department directly using the docs.admission@lakeheadu.ca email account. If there's a password that's required to access those transcripts, please include that in the email so our admissions team can review. But for the majority of you, UAC is where you're going to upload those documents. Now, actually, just before I move forward with that, in your My Info account, you can upload additional documents. So if we request to have a course syllabus from a previous college or university course that you completed for review, you would request that syllabus from your home institution, or if you have it available already, that's great. You can upload those syllabi to the My Info account using the View My Outstanding Documents portal. So it's really easy. You just kind of attach, just like attaching a file, like a PDF. you can just upload that to your application through the MyInfo account. Okay, so I'll touch on this again at the end, but that's the process if you do need to upload some additional documents going forward. So steps in terms of accepting your offer. So this is a bit of a checklist, just some things to keep in mind. Once you receive your offer of admissions, please review your offer and review your conditions letter, because that'll give you all the information you need in terms of requirements for your program, conditions that you need to meet if you're still completing a college or university program or courses, and averages that you need to obviously maintain to get into your program. So keep an eye on your offer letter and your conditions in your offer letter, just so you are successful in being admitted into the program once we've received confirmation. You can accept your offer of admissions by logging into UAC. So you log into your UAC application and you can accept your offer there. You verify your acceptance in step 3 through your MyInfo account. So again, you'll log in, you'll go to track your application status, and you'll see your offer in the MyInfo account as well. The very last step after you've accepted your offer of admissions is to submit your confirmation deposit. So there is a $200 deposit, which you will pay directly to Lakehead University, and that will essentially hold your spot in your program. So that's kind of the final step. In terms of making that deposit payment, the easiest way is to set up Lakehead University as a payment option through online banking. So if you log into your TD app or whatever financial institution you use, just like paying a cell phone bill or any other bill, you can add Lakehead University as a payee and make tuition payments, your deposit payment, residence payments, anything like that, that will go on to your MyInfo account. Okay, so I'll let Tori and those guys maybe give a little bit of info in the chat around that if you do have questions, but that would be the final step in accepting your offer of admissions. I've talked about MyInfo already, but again, get familiar with it. I am going to talk about course registration in a little bit, and that is done through MyInfo as well. So just get familiar with it. There's lots of different parts of the MyInfo portal that you'll be accessing. You can even check your financial records and apply for financial aid as well. So it's a good place to start looking right now if you are accepting your offer. Now, after you've accepted your offer of admissions, what's kind of the next step? A big one would definitely be applying for financial aid. And these are questions I typically get from students around this time of year as well. We do have a lot of financial aid opportunities at Lakehead, and we do have a few specific ones for students entering into Lakehead from college or university programs or as a mature learner. So there's 2 specific ones that you can apply for right off the bat. The one we're looking at here is called our Transfer Award. It's valued at up to $1,000. Essentially, you need to be a full-time student. You must demonstrate financial need. You must have taken prior studies in an academic program at an accredited college, Bible college, or university. You must not have completed a first degree, but have completed a diploma program. You have to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, and we're looking for a minimum overall average of 70%. Okay, so this one is a good one right off the bat. Again, open to all our transfer students, and the application deadline is June 30th. So you still have quite a lot of time to apply for this transfer award. You guys will get information via email as well as our website around how to apply for financial aid and how to apply for our scholarships and awards. But this is one specifically to keep an eye on as a transfer student. The second one is our transfer and mature student bursary. Again, up to $1,000 in value. In terms of eligibility, it's very similar to the transfer award, but there's a couple slight variances. Again, we're looking for students that are transferring to Lakehead from a college or university, or coming to Lakehead University with no previous post-secondary education. Okay. You must be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident. You must be enrolled full-time starting in September, and you must demonstrate financial need. So bursaries are typically based on financial need. Okay, so you will have some questions in the bursary application. Prior consideration is given to students who have already applied for OSAP or provincial student aid programs. Okay, so if you're already maybe receiving OSAP or funding through your home institution, there's a good likelihood you'll receive some funding through this transfer and mature student bursary as well. But there's some more information available on this on the website. And again, the deadline to apply is June 30th. So for both of these two, those are specific ones for college, university, and mature student learners. Aside from these two, we do have other opportunities to get financial aid as well. We do have some information obviously around OSAP on our website. So if you do have some OSAP questions, you can also contact our Student Central office to speak with an advisor. There's lots of other scholarships, awards, and bursaries you can apply for as a current student. So once you're actually studying at Lakehead, there's program-specific scholarships you can apply for, like for engineering as an example. There's the current or in-progress student bursary that you can apply for, which I believe is up to $1,500 for students that can demonstrate financial need as well. So there's lots of other ones that are available on our website. The two that I just showed you were just specific to our audience here this evening, but there are lots of other opportunities you can get involved with as well to receive financial aid. The work-study program is another great opportunity if you're looking to get some funding throughout your Lakehead degree. The work-study program, basically there's positions across all of our campuses where we hire students for specific positions. Those job postings begin typically in, get posted in August. And the nice thing about the work-study program, we work around your class schedule. So you only work 10 hours per week on campus during fall and winter terms. So it just allows you to work a few hours each week and kind of earn a little bit while you learn. There's some examples on the screen here. Tori and I hire a lot of tour guides at all of our campuses, which is a really great position. You get to interact with lots of new students, which is always fun. Host lots of our recruitment events, like some of the things we're doing here this evening. We've got our communications assistant, research assistant, lab tech. You can work at the library, any of the food services. You can work at Student Central. So there's lots of different positions across our campuses if you're looking for a part-time job. And the nice thing is, like I said, it works around your class schedule. So it's a little bit more flexible in terms of studying. You don't have to worry about closing down the CAG at 2 in the morning like I did for one year at university, which is always hard on my coursework. There's lots of opportunities to work off campus as well. So if you're working somewhere right now part-time as a student, all of our campuses in about a 5-10 minute radius, there's lots of shopping, box stores, restaurants where a lot of our students work off campus as well. But that's a good opportunity on campus if you're looking to earn a little bit as well. Now, aside from financial aid, looking at other next steps, the other big one would be residence. So residence is available to upper year or transfer and mature students. So it's not just available for high school applicants. We don't guarantee residence for mature students and transfer students, but there is a really good opportunity for you to get a residence room at any of our campuses, which I'll go through here in a second. So if you're coming from out of town, if you're coming from distance, maybe you're looking at off-campus opportunities through apartments or housing. There's lots of off-campus student housing in all of our cities, just like your home institutions, I'm sure. In about a 5 or 10 minute walk from campus, you'll find a lot of the off-campus housing options. And all Lakehead University students do receive a transit pass or a bus pass. So you can access the city transit in Barrie, Thunder Bay, and Orillia if you don't have a vehicle. So if you're living off campus, that makes things a little bit easier as well. And we do have parking permits that you can purchase if you do have a vehicle and you're coming to campus. But specifically for residents, residence applications will be open. The deadline to apply for residence is June 1st, and you'll see payment and deposit deadlines as well. So there's a $500 residence down payment, which is due on June 1st. And that again holds your residence room for the upcoming academic year. Okay, so I'll let Jess and Tori and Rebecca post some links in the chat around residence, and I'm going to touch on all three as we go through here. So living in residence, there's lots of meal plan options. Depending on your campus, you do have kitchen access as well, which I'll touch on. Residence at Lakehead is a really big deal. We obviously do have quite a lot of commuter students from Thunder Bay and Aurelia and kind of Simcoe County, Barrie area, obviously, that are attending our campuses. But because of our distance in relation to Southwestern Ontario, we have a lot of students, especially transfer students, that are coming from far distances. So we put a lot of work into residence to make sure you guys are comfortable. Stuff to do. Res life at Lakehead is awesome. You know, students are there on weekends for the most part when they're living in residence. So there's always lots to do, lots going on, and it really kind of becomes your second home, which is great. So just kind of showing you guys some of those resident options at each campus. I'll start with Thunder Bay residence. Thunder Bay residence, we have two different styles that you can apply to. Okay, so we have our townhouse units and our apartment units. On the screen here, we've got the layout of our townhouse units. These are 2 floors. They have 4 single bedrooms on the top floor with 1 full washroom suite, storage as well. The very first floor, as you'll see, you have a full kitchen. You've got a dining room area, a full living room, and a kind of like a storage room in the back left. You do have a back patio as well. And the townhouse units are right in the middle of campus. So you're like a 5-minute walk to your classes, not too far from your classroom and labs. In terms of the apartment style, very similar in terms of square footage, just a bit of a different layout. Our apartments are 1 floor, not 2. But same thing, you have 4 single residence rooms all down the hall from each other. You have 1.5 bath, a full living room, dining room area, which is open concept, as well as a full kitchen. Okay. There is some outdoor space in the apartment units as well. And then you've got a little bit of a diagram there, an outline of what the inside of the apartment style room looks like. For both the apartment and townhouse units, all the furnishing comes included. So all you need to do is bring some bedding, obviously your computer. There's Wi-Fi on the entire campus, but you do have internet connection on your desk as well. There is cable access through our residence, all of our campus residence buildings as well. You do get your own phone line in your res room if you need to use it, if anybody's used a landline in the last 10 years, but if your cell phone goes down, it can be handy for sure. So you do have access to a phone. And then you do get a computer desk. There's fridges in the apartment and townhouse units. There's double fridge freezers. So you have lots of storage, obviously, for 4 students. So it's a good option for those of you that are maybe looking to live on campus. And the apartment and townhouses are only for upper year students. Okay, so you're not going to be placed with first year students coming from high school. They're only reserved for upper year students. Okay, so that's specifically for the Thunder Bay campus. Just a couple options here in terms of cost for those residence buildings I mentioned. We do have single and basic single dormitory style residence rooms. Those are typically for incoming high school students. You may be able to apply for those single rooms, but I can't guarantee they would be available for transfer students. So I would focus on the townhouse and apartment style costs that you see at the bottom. Students aren't required to have meal plans in Thunder Bay for apartment and townhouses because you have your own full kitchen. Okay, so if you choose to purchase a meal plan, that's great. There's the dining hall available on campus. There's a Starbucks. There's other coffee houses. The student-run coffee house called The Study is in the middle of campus. There's the Outpost, which is our campus-run restaurant owned by the student union. So if you want to get a meal plan to access any of those, you can, but you can always use cash or card at those locations as well. Now moving on to Aurelia. For those of you looking at the Aurelia campus, we're taking a look at the outside of the res building here. So it's 6 floors, about 240 residence rooms. All of the rooms are single dormitory style and they're all exactly the same. So if you're applying to Aurelia residence, you're just applying for one style, which you see here in the layout. We've got a picture of the inside of a res room on the right-hand side. And as you'll see on the left, the single rooms or 2 single rooms are connected by 1 full suite washroom. So it's a little bit different of a layout compared to Thunder Bay. You have 2 single rooms. Those 2 students are connected by that 1 full suite washroom with tub, shower, You do get your own vanity in your residence room, which is nice. So you've got a little space there to get ready. You do have tons of closet space, as you'll see there on the right. Your desk area comes with everything that I just mentioned in Thunder Bay in terms of the Wi-Fi, cable internet, and the phone. You see the mini fridge there on the desk as well, and the chair. And for students living in the Aurelia residences, I'll just show you the residence cost. As I didn't note when I was looking at the room, you are required to have a meal plan if you're living in the Aurelia residences, because obviously, as you see, there aren't full kitchens available. So on each floor of residence, there is a social lounge. It's a big room. There's kind of a kitchenette area with some small appliances and laundry room as well, but you don't have a full kitchen. You could make meals every day. So you would be required to have a meal plan. So when you pay for residence in Aurelia, your room and board and your meal plan is packaged together, which is what you see in the residence cost here on the screen. And you have a few different options depending on your residence preference. Okay, so there's a 5-day meal plan or a 7-day meal plan, all you can eat or all access dining Monday to Friday, with an additional declining balance that goes onto your student card. Okay, so basically we just load $530 in the 5-day meal plan case onto your student card, and you would have access to use that in our dining hall or coffee house on campus, in addition to your unlimited access to the dining hall Monday to Friday. Okay, so a little bit different of a setup, but like I said, a good option if you are looking to stay on campus, and same thing, 2-minute walk to our lecture halls. Just lastly, in terms of res, Lakehead Georgian, for those of you that are applied to Lakehead Georgian programs, you would be studying, likely to start, at the Lakehead Georgian Barrie campus, which is what you see here on the screen. In terms of setup at Georgian, it is a single room suite style residence hall. So essentially there's 2 residence rooms that are connected by a kitchenette and a full suite washroom. So you kind of like have a roommate, but you close your door at the end of the night, you got your own private res room, so they're not doubles. They just give you the option with that suite style setup. And then you've got the picture there on your right. With Lakehead Georgian residences, you'll see all the 3 options there at the bottom. They do vary depending on if you are purchasing a meal plan or not. In the Lakehead Georgian Barrie residences, you do have your kitchenette in your residence suite that you share with the one other student. And then actually on your floor, there's a full kitchen down the hallway. So you can access a bunch of ovens if you're cooking meals daily. There's larger fridges as well. So you don't have to purchase a meal plan if you're a Lakehead Georgian student. But there are lots of good options through Chartwells and the food services available at the Lakehead Georgian campus. Okay, so for all 3 campuses, all very similar amenities in terms of cable internet, all that stuff, all the furnishings. The main difference would be style and your meal plan and cost. Okay, and I'll let Tori and those guys provide some information in the chat. Okay, that was a lot of information. I know I'm going through stuff semi-quickly here, but I want to get through stuff in detail, and we are getting closer to the end of the presentation, so keep those questions coming. We will get to them here in a second. I'm sure the #1 question that I've got thus far is around how programs are going to be delivered for the next academic year. Let me get a breath here. Okay, so in terms of how they're going to be offered, we just announced maybe about a month ago that we are committed to returning to in-person learning for September 2021. So obviously with the pandemic this past year, the majority of programs that we offered at Lakehead were run through synchronous or asynchronous online course delivery. And we did use a variety of platforms, including Zoom, to deliver some of our courses, but we are hoping to return to in-person classes for September. Obviously, we're working with the ministry and health professionals and Ministry of Education, the Government of Ontario. So there's lots of variables that will go into that as we progress into the summertime. But like many Ontario universities and colleges, we are planning to return for classes in September. Okay. The best place to get information about how your program is being delivered, updates around COVID-19, returning to campus, all of that stuff, would be to check the Lakehead COVID-19 webpage, which is on the screen. I'll have these guys post that link in the chat, just so you guys can all take a peek later on as well. but there's a specific student section where you can get information about everything you would need to know about program delivery, news updates, and any updates that come down the pipe going forward will get posted on that website immediately as well. So keep an eye on your Lakehead email account, because we will provide students with updates around course delivery for the fall. For those of you that are starting programs in the spring summer semester, which is a little bit earlier, those courses are being offered online. So we may have students that are in the, I don't want to get into too much detail here, but the engineering transfer students, which I know we probably have some on tonight, forestry transfer students, environmental sustainability transfer students in Aurelia, maybe some business transfer students as well. The courses that are offered in the spring summer semesters, check your email for verification, but your courses will be offered through online delivery. Okay, it's the fall term that we're looking at really returning to an in-person delivery. Okay, so I'm happy to take questions about specific programs after this evening. Like I said, on the website is a great place to start, but obviously we want to get that information to you guys as soon as possible because we know it impacts you so greatly for the fall. And for our hands-on programming at Lakehead, we need to be back in the classroom where we're safe to do so. So hopefully we'll have that in the fall for September. Now, looking at courses and next steps, how to register for courses, what kinds of courses you may have to take for your program. This is kind of the last big piece that I want to talk about. Once you've accepted your offer of admissions and you've received access to register for courses, which will happen fairly soon, you can start to plan for course registration. So it's kind of the next big thing. First step would be to review your program requirements. So I'm going to touch on that here in a second, but specifically look at the academic calendar, which shows all of the course requirements for your program year by year. If you are starting in the spring summer semester, again, our faculty will be contacting you if they haven't already to give you a roadmap of courses through the academic calendar that you need to register for. So don't be too stressed if you're thinking about that right now. You will receive some communications from our faculty around spring summer course registration, which is open or will be opening for some of you. The course registration for the fall semester or September doesn't open until June. Okay, so for all of you starting in the fall term, it's okay, take a deep breath. You've got some time to plan. I know it's a little bit stressful right now, but you do have a few months to plan your courses and outline everything. And there's lots of ways to do that, including using the pre-registration schedule builder, which is available on your My Info. And again, I'll get the guys in the background to post some information about this through Student Central if they can. But you can use the pre-registration schedule builder, which is a great tool. Essentially, you can start to look at the academic calendar, which shows you your course requirements for your program. And then you can start to build your schedule, like fitting those puzzle pieces in terms of when those courses may be offered. Course registration through the pre-registration builder, they aren't submitted officially. So you're just kind of getting your skeleton schedule together. And then once course registration actually opens in June, then at least you've got a bit of a tentative schedule ready to go. Okay, so that's a really good resource to start with. You'll complete your course registration through My Info, which is obviously step 4 there, which I mentioned. And in terms of resources on what courses you need to take and kind of important terms, there's a few things to maybe keep in mind. I know it can be kind of confusing sometimes if you're coming from another institution or you've been out of college or university for a couple of years now and you're a little bit unfamiliar with some of the terms that we use. These are some of the main ones that I would kind of keep in mind that you'll be accessing in the next couple months. The first one is the academic calendar. So the academic calendar covers literally everything, all the details specifically for your program. Okay, so there's an academic calendar for over 70 degree programs that we offer at Lakehead at the undergraduate level. They cover your academic requirements, course by course. They cover admissions details as well. They cover academic schedule of dates, university and faculty policies, regulations, and fees. So even the cost So literally all the details around your program that you'll need is in the academic calendar. So for all of you on the webinar tonight, you can access the academic calendar through our websites, and I can provide information around that as well. The course timetable is obviously what you'll use to register for courses. That shows you when those courses are specifically offered in the upcoming semesters. It'll show you if the course is offered online, if it's a lecture, if it's a lab, location, room, like date, time, obviously, everything around those course deliveries. So essentially, you're going to look at the academic calendar to see what you need to take, and then you're going to have the course timetable showing you when those courses are offered during the semester or during the academic year. Okay, so those are the two main things you'll definitely use for course registration. Another term is elective credits. So again, for those of you that are maybe coming from college that aren't familiar with electives, electives are courses that you select by choice. They're not required courses for your program. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're in the psychology program and you're interested in taking an English credit. Even though you're taking psychology courses obviously through your program, you'll have opportunity to take English courses as electives, or business or criminology, and a variety of other subject areas. So there's lots of different elective options. Some of the electives are related to your program. So even if you're in, let's say, the nursing program, you may not have a lot of general electives where you can pick up courses outside of your program, but you have a lot of maybe options for nursing specific electives. So courses within the nursing faculty that you can pick depending on your preference. Okay, so that's kind of what electives are. Part-time versus full-time studies is defined there. A lot of you will be applied as a full-time student, but you can drop down to a part-time course load if you need. Doing part-time studies would be 3.5 full course equivalents or fewer for the fall and winter term. So essentially, you're just taking a couple courses each term. Just keep in mind OSAP. If you are dropping from full-time to part-time studies, that may impact your OSAP funding. So you'll want to contact our Student Central office to speak with an advisor if you have questions on how that'll impact things. But for a lot of programs, you can do them part-time. It will obviously take longer to complete your degree, but it is an option. The last one I'll mention, which is kind of a confusing one for students, is full course equivalent, or FCE. When you're looking at the academic calendar, you will see FCE all over the place. Essentially, the credit system that we work on at Lakehead is I like to call it a half credit course system. So if you're doing a course that's one semester, so let's say fall semester, which would be September to December, that course will be worth half a credit, or 0.5 FCEs. Obviously, 2 half credits would equal 1.0 FCEs, or 1 full course equivalent. So if you just keep that in mind when you're looking at the academic calendar and your course requirements, a half a credit or 0.5 is a course for 1 semester, and obviously it goes from there. But you'll see FCE within the academic calendar. And just to give you guys an example of that, I've got on the screen here the academic calendar for our honors Bachelor of Arts and Science degree, majoring in interdisciplinary studies. This program is offered at our Lakehead Aurelia campus. We have a lot of students coming from general arts and science diploma programs and a lot of other college and university programs transferring in. So this might apply to you, but just in terms of everybody. When you're looking at the academic calendar, again, showing the required courses for your program. So on the left-hand side, you'll see first year, spring, summer. So these are the students that are actually starting in the spring, summer term. The only requirements for the spring, summer semester is to complete 1 FCE in your first discipline at the second year level, and 1 FCE in the second discipline at the second year level. So with that would mean you would need to basically take 2 half credit courses in your first discipline. So let's say English, and then 2 half credit courses in your second discipline, which would be psychology. Okay, so again, you'll see FCE all over the place for the academic calendar. If you get confused, you can always contact our Student Central office, and they can walk you through how everything works. Now, the nice thing for all of you, we're here to help. If all of that I just showed you confused you, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I know it can be tough sometimes. Our Student Central office, or our advising staff, they'll be hosting a webinar series called FastPass 101. It's essentially a series of webinars that happen in June, where they'll be covering all things course registration, including the academic calendar, how to register for courses. They'll be doing a live chat with our students. So if you're stressed out about course registration and you're registering for courses for the fall, again, course registration doesn't open until June. So register for one of our FastPass webinar dates, and that'll be a really good resource for you in the next, in a couple months from now when the webinars are happening, to help you with course registration. So just keep an eye on your email. You guys will all get invitations to FastPass, but I'll let Jess drop the link in the chat. Lastly, some important dates coming up as we wrap things up here. So application deadline has passed. I know a lot of you have obviously already applied, but for those of you that haven't, we are still accepting applications for the majority of programs. The only programs that are a little bit different, our one-year social work program is closed. The nursing programs do have a waiting list for those of you that are applying now. But aside from that, most programs are open. The deadline to accept your offer of admissions can vary. Okay, so it may be May 3rd, 2021 for a lot of you, but please check your offer of admissions because that date can vary. Okay, so you'll see that in your MyInfo account, you'll see it in your offer of admissions. You can pay your deposit by June 1st, and the deadline to meet your conditions of your offer and submit your final transcripts is July the 5th. I mentioned Student Central. Student Central, like I said, is the one-stop shop for all things students advising wise. If you have questions about your application, transfer credit, a lot of the stuff I've mentioned, Student Central is open Monday to Friday with office hours. You can give them a call. They do some online virtual meetings as well. So feel free to book an appointment with an advisor or give them a call Monday to Friday. And like I said, they'll be running those FastPass course registration webinars going forward. They also do obviously advising during the school year. So if you have questions about scholarships, financial aid, if you have accessibility concerns, or you need accessibility through any of our Lakehead programs, we do have our student accessibility services. There's tutoring, co-op advising, career counseling, all of that typical advising at the post-secondary level is run through Student Central. If you haven't visited campus and you want to, we aren't running a physical campus tour program yet, but again, hopefully we can do some physical campus tours in the not too distant future. You can book a live virtual campus tour at any of our campuses in Thunder Bay or Orillia. And then we've got our traditional virtual campus tour for the Lakehead, Georgian Barrie campus as well. So feel free to check out our website. You can click your way through all the labs and buildings and residents, get a feel for things, and it's the next best thing to an actual in-person campus tour. We do have more webinars coming up. So some of them are program specific, like our Getting Ready for Lakehead webinar series, starting May 4th. We have Faculty Fridays weekly at noon. So we have professors that come on these webinars and they just chat with students about program specific information. So it's a great way to learn a little bit more about your program. We have Thunderwolf Thursdays that happen on obviously Thursday weekly. We have one coming up this week at 4 p.m. And our Thunderwolf Thursdays, we have a panel of current students. So if you want to actually speak to some students currently at Lakehead, pick their brain a little bit, that's a great opportunity to do that as well. So keep an eye on the upcoming events webpage, and hopefully you will join us at an upcoming Lakehead webinar. Follow us on social media. We post obviously invites to all those upcoming webinars, but it's obviously a good place to stay up to date on info, stay connected to campus, and interact with some of our current students and alumni as well. So you can follow us at My Lakehead for all of our social media accounts. Some important dates coming up that I didn't mention, things like residence and tuition payment deadlines. So the first deadline for residence and tuition payment is August 15th. You'll see the residence move-in date there as well for our campuses. First day of class as well, which is September 7th for the fall term. We do have 2 reading weeks at Lakehead, and our first reading week or fall study break is October 11th. So you guys will get a full week off close to Thanksgiving. And the second tuition payment deadline is December 15th. Okay, so there is some information about the website, or on the website, sorry, about payments and all that stuff, all these deadlines. I'll let the guys drop that in the chat, but let me know if you have questions around any of these dates. Okay, before I get to the Q&A, like I said, book a one-on-one. So I know I've got like 100 questions probably in the chat waiting for me here, but if we can't get to some of them tonight, or if you have more questions specifically for your program, again, book an appointment with myself or Rebecca, or we can get you in touch with admissions to chat a little bit more. You guys have all been entered into a draw as an attendant tonight for our transfer applicant reception webinar, which is awesome. So we're going to do a draw at the end of all of our receptions for one lucky winner for a $500 bookstore gift card. So best of luck to all of you that are on here this evening, and hopefully we'll have a winner from my webinar. That'd be awesome. And that's it. A ton of info. I know we're getting close to the end of time here. Hopefully my detailed session helped answer most of your questions, but I know we have a bunch here probably waiting in the chat. So I want to thank all of you guys for joining us. For those of you that are logging off, like I said, keep an eye on your My Info and your email account for next steps. We hope to see you guys in September, but I'll open it up to my colleagues here as we moderate the chat and try and answer some of your questions here. So thanks for joining us. And yeah, Rebecca will take a peek at the Q&A here and open it up for questions.